Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks a
Go
lot,
ahead, Brian.
Karine. I was going to ask about the deficit.
Yeah.
The federal deficit is projected to increase this year over last year. During Biden's term, it decreased in the first 2 years. It's going to increase this year. What's President Biden's response to that, and what's his assessment of the reasons that the federal deficit is increasing?
So a couple of things, and I know one of my colleagues have spoken to this before. Deficits from year to year can be volatile, and so that's kind of how we have tracked that. But the reality is the president has a real plan, as we've laid out multiple times, to reduce the deficit, and we don't see Republicans having a real plan. And so the deficit has fallen by more than $1 trillion under the this president, and he has signed legislation to cut the deficit by another $1 trillion. So the president's budget would reduce the deficit by further $2.5 trillion by cutting wasteful spending on special interests and making big corporations and the rich pay their fair share. So that's what we're trying to do. And by contrast, what you're seeing from our Republican colleagues on the other side is that, especially when President Trump and congressional Republicans, what they did during his administration is that they added $2 trillion to the deficit with a tax cut that skewed, obviously, to the wealthy and large corporations. So what we are going to do is we're going to continue to fight for Social Security. We're going to continue to fight for Medicare, health care. We're going to continue to make sure we do what we can to, the president believes in moving forward with his economic plan in a fiscally responsible way. And so that's what we're going to continue to do here.
It's going up, but why is it?
I just said it can be year to year, it can be very volatile.
I mean, he said in March in Baltimore in a speech, our plan is working to decreasing the deficit.
Right, and we have seen the
it's not.
deficit fallen by more than $1 trillion under this president, right? But as I stated at the top, it could be volatile, and that's why the president has taken action, right? More than $2 trillion to lower the deficit, and that's what he's going to continue to do. But what we know for sure is that trickle down economy does not work. You hear us talk about all the time when we talk about Bidenomics is building an economy from the bottom up, middle out. That's the president's plan. That's what he's going to continue to do. And he's going to do it in a fiscally responsible way. And again, that's all you have to do is watch what the president has done the last 2 years. And he has done it. I just laid out, it can be very volatile. I just talked about how the president deficit, it can be, but that's the way it is from year to year. It can be volatile. That is something well, talk to an economist and they'll tell you specifically. What I can speak to is what the president has done over the last 2 years is we say the deficit go down by $1 trillion. He signed another piece of legislation where the deficit is going to go down another $1 trillion. That is the president's focus. That's why we believe Bidenomics is so important. Guys, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.